Diolch yn fawr iawn, Llywydd. A wnaeth y gweinidog ddatganiad, os gwelwch yn dda, ar benderfyniad Llywodraeth Cymru i ganslo y ffordd gyswllt Llanbedr yng Ngwynedd, os gwelwch yn dda.
Ydy'r gweinidog yn barod i ateb? Is the Deputy Minister ready to answer the question just asked? Lee Waters, it seems you may be on the phone to somebody else, but you're also here in the chamber. Are you available to answer the question just asked by Mabon Gwynedd? It's on the order paper.
Apologies. I've already provided with a written statement to members with the decision on the Llanbedr access road. The Chair's report was included and set out the recommendations which I've accepted, and the Welsh Government will not support any further work on the current Llanbedr access road scheme.
Mabon Gwynedd.
Diolch yn fawr iawn, Dirprwy Weinidog. Wel, roedd tasglu y cymodd a oedd yn cael ei gadeirio gen i chi rhai blynyddoedd yn ôl yn hyrwyddo deioli yr A465 ar flaenau'r cymodd. Prosiect fydd yn ei chyfanrwydd wedi costio dros 1 biliwn o bunnoedd gan alluogi degau o filoedd o geir i wybio ar hyd y ffordd ar 70 milltir yr awr bob blwyddyn. Ymhlith y gwahanol ddadleuon gafodd ei roi ger bron am y deioli yma oedd y ffaith fod posib cysylltu efo traffyrdd yng nghanolbarth Lloegr gan achosi fwy o drafnidiaeth ceir. Trwy gyddigwyddiad, dechreuodd y gwaith deioli'r dowlais topi Hirwaun fis cyn i chi gyhoeddi'r moratoriwm ar ffyrdd, oedd wrth gwrs yn golygu na fyddai'r cynllun drudfawr yma yn dod o dangylch gorchwil y moratoriwm. Felly mae gynnon ni un cynllun fan hyn, cynllun Llanbedr, sy'n costio 14 miliwn o bunnoedd, efo hanner ohono fo wedi cael ei dalu gan yr Undeb Ewropeaidd ar gyfer 1 milltir o ffordd i wasanaethu poblogaeth Llanbedr ag arfordir Meirionydd, ac mae gynllun arall yn costio 500 biliwn, sef yr un dowlais top i Hirwaun, wedi cael ei dalu trwy gynllun PFI newydd ar gyfer 11 milltir o ffordd ymlaen â'r cymoedd. Pa gynllun ydych chi'n meddwl fydd yn fwyaf niweidiol i'r amgylchedd? Ac yn olaf, os ydym ni am dderbyn yn yr adroddiad ar gymhelliad rhif 10, sef adeiladu ffordd gyswllt gwahanol efo uchafswm cyflymder llawer yn llai, sydd yn ôl yr adroddiad am fod yn ddrudfawr iawn, sut gaiff honno i ariannu, ac a fyddwch chi'n digolledu yr cyngor ac yn ariannu'r gost efo'r golled o 7 miliwn a hanner o bunnoedd Ewropeaidd sydd ddim yn mynd i ddod i'r fei oherwydd hyn. Diolch.
Okay, well, I can see that the benefit of time is not making Mabon Gwynedd any more amenable to the arguments put forward by the independent panel. I understand his disappointment because there are often strong local attachments to these schemes. I heard people saying yesterday this is a scheme that's been an ambition locally for 70 years. And we often see this happening is where local authorities, when placed with transport challenges, simply dig out schemes they've had on the blocks for generations. But we are in a climate emergency. And, you know, I do feel a slight despair at listening to the nightly news every night, the strength of the science, the strength of the frustration of the talks in Glasgow, a recognition by all parties that we need to do things differently, statements in this Senedd, statements by Mabon Gwynedd and the local member of parliament themselves for recognising the scale and ambition for climate emergency. From his party for us to have a net zero target of net zero by 2030 rather than 2050. You know, these things are not compatible with continuing to build more road capacity. It's just not compatible. The UK Climate Change Committee made clear that in order to reach net zero by 2050, we have to reduce the number of car journeys. Hitting net zero 20 years before that, we don't know how to do that, despite being told that we ought to by Cymru, and it's certainly not compatible with him pushing for us to build road schemes. Now, we've set up an independent review. It's a shame that Llanbedr has been looked at in isolation, because I think if taken as a whole, shifting our road spend to maintenance and alternatives would be seen as a whole rather than just one scheme, which allows local people to say that Llanbedr are being unfairly targeted, which is not the case. We did that at the behest of the local authority because of European funding deadlines, and this is the report from the independent panel. It's not my recommendation, it's their recommendation, which I've accepted. His points, I thought, were slightly unfortunate, really, about the dueling Heads of the Valleys Road. The Heads of the Valleys Road, as I recall, was approved by Ian Jones when he was the Minister for Transport. And we've also made an exception for a scheme on the Llanbedr bypass, which again was a request of Plaid Cymru. And you know, we're certainly not just picking on rural Wales. We have cancelled the M4 bypass around Newport. So we're certainly not taking a view that is somehow geographically biased. We are trying very difficultly to shift the way we deal with transport spend. Now, Llanbedr clearly has some congestion problems, particularly at some times of year, and then there's the separate issue of access to the new business units and the aspiration to have a spaceport. And the report by Lynn Sloman is very comprehensive and deals with both of those things, and we are committed to use the contribution the Welsh Government was going to make to this project to work with the local authority to do a genuine WellTag appraisal, which doesn't start with the assumption that we build a road, which is what has happened in this case, and indeed has happened in other cases too. But to look on a mode-neutral basis to see what sustainable measures we can put in place. And that is a sincere commitment, and I discussed that with the leader of the local authority. And then the separate issue of access to open up the land for development. Again, the report makes clear that they think that the existing roads enable some of that to happen, and if further is required, that is something that can be identified through the joint work we'll be doing with the local authority. So I understand the member's frustration. I can't quite marry it with what he also says we need to be doing on net zero. He's wrong to suggest, as is the MP, that rural Wales or Gwynedd in particular is being picked on here. This is an approach we'll be taking right across Wales because the science demands we do it, and the climate emergency that both he and I and Gwynedd Council have signed up to also demands we do it.